This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Profitability Movement. Google Profitability-Movement to join this community of business owners focused on building profit, increasing wealth, and giving back. Thank you for joining us. Here's how we will help your business and you today. There are really some stupid things contractors do in the summer. I've seen them. So today I'm going to focus on some of the stupid summer things that contractors do as it relates to trucks and dealing with what's going on with truck expenses and everything along those lines in the time that we now have with increasing gasoline prices. So it's even more important to pay attention. So here are 3 of my favorite stupid mistakes that contractors make in the summer as they relate to trucks. Number 1, not having GPS in their trucks. Now, those of you who have GPS are probably thinking, I don't have to listen to this one. However, you have to make sure that you track the GPS. You look at the reports. It does no good to have GPS in the trucks and not look at the reports. Somebody should look at them every Monday morning to make sure that those trucks didn't move on the weekend. I will never forget driving down 85, which is one of the major highways in Atlanta, and seeing the trucks of one of my customers at that time. And the driver of the truck had his little kid, who's probably 5, 6, 7-year-old, in the front seat of the truck, jumping around and moving around and everything like that. I knew that the rules and regulations said nobody is allowed in the truck other than, obviously, the driver. And GPS wouldn't tell you this. So I called the service manager and told him. And he got on the guy's case about it. So even with GPS in the trucks, you still have to make sure that they follow the rules. All right? So those of you who don't have GPSs in your trucks, GPS has prevented speeding tickets. And this is another story of what's happened in the city of Atlanta. So a police officer pulled over a tech on I-85, this time going north instead of going south. The tech said he wasn't speeding. The officer said, yes, you were, and gave him a ticket. So the tech told the service manager that he wasn't speeding and what happened, and he pulled him over and gave him a ticket. And the tech asked the service manager to pull the GPS reports. Sure enough, tech wasn't speeding. GPS proved the tech wasn't speeding. So they went to court with all the GPS data and printouts and everything like that, and the judge said, case dismissed. So here is a situation where GPS saved points on somebody's driver's license, a fine, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, they had to go to court, and yes, it took a little bit of time to do it. But in the long run, they wouldn't have had a situation where, you got too many speeding tickets or something like that. All right, GPS is also a safety issue. Another true story. I've seen GPS save lives. Not in Atlanta this time. A tech passed out in his truck and went into a ditch. Thankfully, he went into the ditch and didn't, cross the road or anything like that and hit somebody. And he did survive. When he didn't get to his first call, the dispatcher was aware enough he should have been on this call, at his call by now, and saw the location of his truck, knew where his truck was, called 911, sent the manager to help him. He did survive. Without GPS in that truck, we don't know what would have happened, but it was able to identify where that truck was, and they were able to get help to him quickly. So GPS systems prove that your techs were at a specific location, how long they were there, and more so with commercial rather than residential these days. Customers are calling saying, well, he wasn't here from point A to point B or time A to time B, as it says on the service ticket. And so you pull the GPS data and you send the GPS report and say, Mrs. Jones, the GPS data shows that the truck was at your location from the times that are on the service ticket. So in that case, we don't have a customer complaining about a bill. All right. there are so many things that GPS does. Unfortunately, it's gotten the reputation of, okay, it's Big Brother watching you. Well, guess what? Big Brother watches us in many other different ways and without even having GPS. So make sure that you have GPSs in your trucks, even the manager's trucks. I have found that GPSs, when you install them for the first time in the trucks, guess what? They pay for themselves within a month or 2 months. The people who generally complain about it are the people who are abusing the trucks. They're taking them home at night and they're driving other places. They're using them for side jobs on weekends. Oh, I forgot to tell you that story. But a guy had a truck and the customer called and said, your installer is here and he's installing this new system. And obviously the person answering the phone was actually the owner of the company. And he looked up the location of the truck and said, Mrs. Jones, we don't show a job at your location. And she said, well, your tech is here. So he said, I'll be right there. And he found him through the GPS and went over, fired him on the spot, took the truck. So you never, ever know when GPS will actually help you in a situation to prove that your techs were moonlighting, to handle safety issues, to handle prevention of speeding tickets, or whatever. They do pay for themselves in many, many different ways. Okay, when we get back, I will give you 2 other stupid things that contractors do in the summer. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense.
Do you ever have warranty leak issues? One of Ruth King's clients did about 4 years ago. Thousands of dollars in expense and unhappy customers. She solved this problem for him, though. How? With a leak letter that every customer must sign when a service technician discovers a refrigerant leak. Once they implemented the letter, there were no more warranty leak headaches. No warranty leak callbacks. Happier customers. The surprising result was more replacement sales, too. To get a copy of the leak letter for free, just send Ruth an email at ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. That's ruthking@hvacchannel.tv.
Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Before the break, I gave you the facts and the reasons why you need GPSs in the trucks. Even though they pay for themselves within a month or 2 months, we're in a situation now where gasoline prices are going really, really high, and we have to make sure that the trucks are only moving on company business, and this is a really good way of doing it. So that was number 1. Number 2 is lack of truck maintenance. And I have seen this summer after summer after summer after summer. Think about it. We all know that maintenance is required on a heating and air system for the system to operate more efficiently, last longer. I mean, we can talk about the reasons why, but it's the same thing for your trucks. If you want your trucks to last longer, have better fuel mileage, they have to be maintained. Same thing. It works. All right. So I've seen in the summer that it's so busy, owners say, well, don't get the maintenance done on your truck. Don't get the oil changed. I need you to go out to this job and get it done because we have 6 more after it. Well, forgetting an oil change is not a good idea. And on the weekends, the guys are exhausted from working a crazy week. And, you ask them to do it on a weekend. I don't think so. So many companies have set up a truck maintenance with a mobile company, and the company comes to you. You should still be having your service meetings in the summer at least once a month. And in those cases, while you're in the service meeting, the mobile company comes and performs the maintenances on all the trucks. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone because it's getting done, which needs to be done, and it's being done when the technicians are not on billable time anyway, so we have the ability to handle both situations at once. All right, that's one thing that can be done. Some other companies have set up an account with a vehicle maintenance provider really close to their shops. And so it's easy for the technicians to be routed to go to that particular oil change place, or there may be several in the city that you're in where they can go as they go from one call to the next. And guys are, at these locations are pretty good and pretty fast at getting people in and out quickly. So if you think about it, the time it takes is less than the expense of a service call. So Here's the math. We all know that lack of maintenance lowers fuel mileage. Assume that the lower fuel mileage costs an additional tank of gas a week, and that tank of gas is $75. Now, I probably should say it's closer to $100 or even more, depending upon where you're located. In a month, that's $300 in additional cost, right? That's $75 times 4, so that's $300. And if your average service ticket revenues are $350, that's the loss of more than one service call. So even though it's busy, make sure that you get the oil change, you watch the tires. If things go wrong with the trucks, get them fixed. It's really important. All right, and number 3 is your bookkeeper is too busy, quote unquote, to check gas receipts. Too busy is never an excuse. It is never a justifiable explanation of not reconciling a credit card account, a bank statement, whatever, every single month. You have to make sure that your drivers are filling up your truck and not their personal vehicles. If your bookkeeper notices a driver's fuel bill much higher than the other drivers, she has to say something. She has to investigate. One thumb stands out, so to speak. We have an issue with that. If she doesn't reconcile the gas bills, you're never, ever, ever going to see it. She has to do it even though it's busy. So, many companies say, okay, you have to tell us what the mileage on your truck is whenever they get gas. Who checks that? Somebody has to check that. So it should be done during a routine truck inspection to make sure it matches about what the driver reported. It's never going to be exact, but if they reported 15,250 miles and the truck inspection is the next day, if it's 15,350 miles, depending upon your location, that's probably still okay. You gotta check because they will test you. If you say, all right, how much was the mileage on your truck, and you don't check it, they'll know that you're not checking it, and they can kind of sneak things in here and there. All right. So your policy manual should state clearly, really clearly, what the company gas cards are to be used for and what they are not to be used for. So, and I have seen this on receipts. If the bookkeeper sees food, drinks, other items purchased in the gas station on your credit card, then those expenses must be repaid. The only way to make sure those expenses are repaid is if your truck policy says we issue you a gas card for gas purchases only. Any other expenses on that card will be taken out through payroll deduction. They sign off on it. It's part of the policy, and somebody has to police it. It is never, ever too busy to check gas receipts. And if your bookkeeper gives you that excuse, you probably don't have the right bookkeeper. A bookkeeper's job is to be accurate, to be timely. And if they're busy, I'm so sorry. It's summertime. It's time to make sure that things do not get slipped through the cracks that can get slipped through the cracks when it is busy. All right, so those are 3 stupid truck mistakes that I know you won't make now that we've talked about them. Number 1 is not having GPS in your truck. Number 2 is if you don't do your truck maintenance, if you don't get your oil changes, you don't inspect the tires, that type of thing. And number 3 is your bookkeeper is too busy to check the gas receipts. I know you won't do any of those things. I know it will go through your mind as you're going crazy over the busy summer. It is the time to generate profit. Make sure that it truly is profitable and you are pricing everything right so that you have cash flow at the end of the summer, not only to pay your summer bills, but to make sure that you have enough cash to go through the slower times in the fall season. Thank you for joining us. Choose one thing you discovered, hopefully the 3 things you've discovered, and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money, too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.